Welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right into something that honestly sounds like it's straight out of a science fiction movie, but it's actually hard biological reality. We're talking about the human glow. We're going to explore the absolutely mind-blowing fact that the human body literally, physically emits visible light. And I don't mean that metaphorically, and I don't mean it spiritually. I mean actual physical light radiating from your very cells. It's this fascinating biological process that tells us something deeply profound about what it actually means to be alive. So let's dive right in. Section 1. A literal compliment. Think about the language we use every single day. When we see someone looking exceptionally happy, healthy, or just full of energy, you've probably said it to a friend or maybe to an expectant mother. Wow, you're glowing, right? We've always treated this phrase as pure poetry, just a really beautiful metaphor for inner happiness and vitality. But what if I told you that when you tell someone they're glowing, you're actually describing a literal biological reality? Yep, it turns out human beings actually do glow.
Moving on to Section 2, the research behind the light.
Now you're probably thinking, okay, if we actually glow, why don't we look like human nightlights when we go to bed? Well, highly sensitive imaging research from the University of Calgary and the National Research Council of Canada actually gives us the answer. And by the way, these are heavy-hitting, highly authoritative scientific bodies. Through their research, they were able to prove definitively that the human body genuinely emits visible light. The catch? Our eyes just aren't sensitive enough to pick it up in our everyday environment because the light is incredibly faint. But under the right conditions, using specialized cameras, the human glow is undeniably scientifically there. It's a proven fact, no magic involved.
Section 3. Cellular processes at work. So how on earth is this actually happening? Well, it's a beautifully straightforward chain of events. First off, your body is alive. Because of that, your cells are constantly working, acting like millions of tiny generators. See, during normal metabolism, our cells produce these highly reactive particles called free radicals. When those particles react with fats and proteins in our cells, they release a tiny bit of excess energy. And that energy, it's emitted as physical light, or photons. I want you to picture a bustling city grid at night. Or actually, better yet, imagine millions of tiny biological generators inside of you, constantly humming with energy. Every single second, your cells are working tirelessly, carrying out complex chemical reactions just to keep you functioning. And as a direct result of that massive effort, physical light is released.
Like I said, this glow isn't magic. It's the direct physical byproduct of your biological processes and your cellular activity. It's literally the energy of life. Every time a cell goes to work, it contributes to this faint, invisible aura of light. Our bodies are essentially these incredibly complex biological engines, and this light is just the gentle exhaust of our metabolism running smoothly. In fact, and this is super cool, because it's tied directly to our cellular activity, this glow actually pulses with our body's daily rhythm. You're actually glowing the brightest in the late afternoon when your metabolic rate hits its peak.
Which brings us to Section 4, the difference between life and death.
This leads us to a pretty stark, profound realization. On one hand, you have living cells. They're actively burning energy, metabolizing oxygen, and emitting light. On the other hand, you have dead cells. The research here is incredibly absolute. The moment a person dies, oxygen stops flowing, metabolism halts, and the light instantly vanishes. It is exactly like flipping a power switch. There's no slow fading out, no residual glowing aura left behind. The absolute second that cellular engine halts and those chemical reactions cease, the human glow is extinguished permanently.
But why does the light disappear so suddenly? Why wouldn't it just linger for a bit? Well, the answer really reinforces everything we've talked about today. The light disappears instantly because it is completely dependent on the active, real-time working state of the human machine. This light isn't some substance stored up inside us like water in a sponge. It's an active emission. Think of it like a light bulb. It goes instantly dark the millisecond you cut the electricity, right? Well, the human body goes entirely dark the millisecond the cellular activity, the electricity of life, stops flowing.
And that leaves us with this final, lingering thought. The light is the very signature of life. It's the literal visual footprint of your existence. You are quite literally a radiant being, powered by millions of tiny cellular generators working in perfect harmony just to keep you here. So the next time someone tells you that you are glowing, you can confidently tell them that yes, scientifically speaking, you are actively emitting light into the universe. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If our eyes were just a little bit more sensitive, how differently would we see each other? And what other invisible forces are we constantly projecting into the world around us without even knowing it? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and hey, keep glowing.